Good morning. Behind me will be the door to my office shed, or my shed office, whatever you want to call it. Well, it will be, it is, right? It's a little beat up. It's been used and abused. And I had what I thought was a brilliant idea, was to swap that door out with an identical door on my property, because I have two sheds that have the same size door. And I figured it'd be a lot easier to just swap them out, because the other door's in really good condition and it would create a much better seal, to keep the air in, the cool air conditioned air, keep that inside the shed. Thank you, wind. Anyways, that other door seals really not, or it's in much better condition, so it would seal a lot better. I'd have to use a lot less, I wouldn't have to try and solve for foam and kludgy type solutions. But I was like, well, before I swap the doors, because my rough estimate, I just did a quick measurement of the door itself. I was like, maybe I should measure the actual opening. So this morning I measured the opening of the other shed and I measured the opening of this shed, and they don't match. They're the same width or good enough, close enough. I could easily account for that. But this door is 2 inches shorter than the other door. So while this door, you can make it fit in the other opening, I would never be able to get the other door into this opening because it's just too big. So let me show you what I'm up against. So the door's closed now, and if we look carefully, that should be where the door lines up all the way across, right? So at the hinge point, it looks pretty good. But as we come down, we get to about right here, there's clearly a gap, right? So this door is sagging, and it's almost about an inch. And as it stands right now, it's just because, from the best that I can tell, that the hinge itself does not go up vertically, right? It's been mounted at an angle like that anyways. You would never want that, but there is a benefit to having your hinge angled in, is by natural, it kind of just forces the door to close. But you really don't want that. You want a nice straight working door. You want things square, right? If you want your door to close automatically, you put it on a spring or something like that. You don't try to use gravity. And if you're trying to be square, you don't use gravity. So to solve for this, I'm going to be backing out all these screws on the hinge, on the screws on the left-hand side of the hinge, and then I'll shim the door somehow from the outside, is my current guess, to get it to be square. Then I'll put all the screws back in. This would be a great two-person job, but it's just me right now while Sylvia's still in Fort Lauderdale, so I'm going to figure it out. Let me show you what I need to do on the inside. When the door closes, I've got this board here that creates the seal for the door here on the hinge side. Along the top, you can see the gap just grows and grows and grows, right? So when I straighten up the door, when I make it square, that gap should seal. Well, when that gap seals, I'll have the board, right? I'm going to replace this board here to make it longer, or I'm just going to add to it so it goes all the way. So in theory, the board here meets the board here, creating, a seal. It's not airtight, but at least it's a seal. And then you could just use something like simple weather stripping. Then on this side, same thing. I'll be adding be adding boards here, right? So when the door closes, it'll touch up onto that. Again, it won't be a perfect seal, but just a little bit of weather stripping hopefully will do the job. And then the same concept along the bottom. It'll actually be, come as pseudo threshold, right? I'll put a board down on the floor. That will just simply go like that. And then when the door closes, it'll create a better seal. And then you just put your weather stripping on the inside where it meets the door, and hopefully it's pretty good. I think I did, I mentioned earlier in one of the videos, this door's got all sorts of gaps. So it needs a lot of insulating regardless. But this is just one of those things I need to do. So I want to get this squared away first, then worry about all the other parts. Okay, so that's today's work. I decided it might be best to swap out the baseboard on this door. So there's a board that used to go, use my shadow, right? Used to be a board that went from there all the way down to there, right there, right? So that was pretty rotted up. You just touch it, it kind of fell apart. So I just backed all the screws out, found a board in my shed behind me, my big shed. I call it the barn. And cut it to size, and now I've got it clamped in right here, my little clamping tool. So it's holding in place. So I'm just gonna go ahead and screw it into place. And if that works out well and I can find another board, I might do the top as well while I'm at it. So we'll see. All right, another step taken care of. Finished getting that board on the bottom there, obviously on the inside of the door. So now it's time to remove the rest of the screws and see if I can get this thing to be straight. So what I'm going to do here is I'm propping up the door on the right hand side at the handle. And then I'm going to leave this bottom screw in. I got to take that one out right now, put a better, stronger one in, see if I can catch something on there. And I want to rotate around that screw to pick the door up. I got my level out here, so I'll just back this screw out, back those two screws out up there, right? So back those two out, back that one out. That should leave the door resting on that screw, hopefully, if things go correct. And then take my level, right? Take my level, get my door level, and once it's level, adjust my shim. Getting sweat in my eyes. Adjust my shim to hold the door at level. Once it's level, just come back on this side and start putting in screws. And once it's secure, open the door, go on the inside and see how it lines up. All right, well, let's give it the old college try. Well, I call it a success. I've got some screws in up top to hold the door in place. I have to put the rest of the screws in, but the door closes. It's actually a little, I've overcompensated a little bit. It's actually leaning like now more this way, and it wants to swing open. I'm actually happy with that because I fully suspect the door is going to settle a little bit. And also, I need to clear that gap there, right? Excuse me, I needed to clear the gap down here. I wanted to make sure that I got, above the floor all the way across. So right now I'm pulling kind of hard on the door. No, I mean, not too hard, but I'm pulling it in all the way. And I'm really happy with that. I'm going to be able to trim that out and then put on the trim, just weather stripping. And that should do it around the door. So to make sure that the door stays tight, when I enter the room and I close it behind me, I've got this latching system. So I just have to mount back my piece of wood that's right here, and then I can adjust my latch. So, you know, when I come in, you just turn this and the door will keep itself closed, nice and tight up against the weather stripping. Good evening, guys and girls. I wanted to give you a quick update on progress I've made with the shed door. Plans were bendable and they bent a little bit. I'm really happy so far with my progress. Some things are turning out a lot better than I anticipated. So let's take a look. Now, is that a thing of beauty? Well, not really, but it is getting better. So the first thing you're gonna see is all this stuff, this foam, right? Well, I bought a can of the gap filler for windows and doors. You have to be careful when you buy that expanding foam, like the gap filling foam. You don't want to get stuff if you don't want to get the right. You do not want to get the wrong one. If you're doing windows and doors, or you're just trying to fill tiny gaps and your area doesn't have much room for give, you want to get the window and door gap filler because it doesn't expand as much, but it still does the job, right? It does expand, but not as much. Other gap fillers, have quite the expanding capabilities. And if you use that one in the wrong application, you could really pay for it. For example, I was advised to not use the big gap filler, or the one that really expands a lot when you're installing windows, because once the window's in place, and say if you use foam to try to seal up any any gaps, right? That's what it's for. That really expanding foam can actually expand to the point where it will shatter the window because it puts so much stress on the window itself. And I'm just trying to fill a tiny gap, and I've got really pliable aluminum here. So I bought the window and door one just to fill the gap a little bit and not get this massive expansion. Next thing is I did end up replacing the wood across the bottom, so now I've got wood across the wood across the top and the wood across the bottom I've replaced. I decided that's where it was going to stop. Next, I trimmed it all out with these boards here, and this is just strictly so that when I close the door, that my weather stripping has something to back up to. So you see, I already put a strip of weather stripping right here all the way down. And now on the bottom of the door, I went and got the air conditioning foam. And what that is your air conditioning compressor that sits outside has copper pipes that lead into the house. Those are normally wrapped in a styrofoam roll. They also do this on your water heaters, right? Your water heaters. They'll put this on maybe the incoming line or even the hot line going out. So anyways, it's got this, I did not know this when I bought it, but I mean, I knew it was split, right? I knew it would separate. I just didn't realize it glued itself together. So you just remove the sides of the plastic there, and there's the glue on the foam already. And when you take the plastic off and you close it around a tube, it holds to itself. That's really handy. Well, I didn't know that, but it worked out because I put my foam down here. I notched out for my wood here. And when I pulled the plastic off, I just adhered it to the piece of wood that's down there, right? So I just adhered it all the way down. All right, so I'm just gonna do the same along, oops, not that one because that's got the weather stripping, but I'm gonna do the same across the top and then the same across there. So let me show you how it looks. All right, so let's start on the good side. So it works really nice over here. It seals real good. I do have a gap there. I'm gonna figure out how to take care of that. Not sure yet how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna think about it, but I'll get that addressed. And then I'm come along and it starts to gap right in there. I'm not too concerned about that. All I'm going to do is apply weather stripping, the same stripping that I have over here. Right? And you can barely see it. It's getting pinched. It's doing its job in there. Right? It's getting pinched, so it creates a nice good seal. So I'm just going to apply that on the door side. And so when the door closes, it seals up against the rubber foam that I have there, right? That black AC foam. So I'm just going to apply that AC foam on this side, right? And then I'm going to apply it along the top. And then I'll weather strip the door where needed, where there's the gaps. So pretty happy with this so far. The other thing is that my little latch here, all right, so I put that wood in. I needed to be able to close this door and then keep it closed. So I drilled out a notch for my latch. In my big barn over there, I have a huge piece of paneling. It might be, it should be enough to cover the door, but I might have to use two pieces. You know, I'll have to cut it because the paneling's 4 foot wide, the door is 5 foot wide, and it's 6 foot tall. But that paneling, I'll be able to cut it so that I get a panel on that side and then a little leftover panel, or, you know, the big panel probably on this side and then a little panel on that side. And then that will hide all the insulation and all this gunk work. So that'll be kind of neat, I think. We'll take a look at that when it's all done. All right, so I'm gonna call it a night, and don't forget to subscribe and like and hit the jingle, click the bell, the alert bell, do all that good stuff. We want to keep you guys entertained, and we want to keep sharing our experiences and getting your feedback, and looking forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. Take care. Okay, I managed to finish it before nightfall. I got the styrofoam in. It worked out really good. Wasn't too difficult to work with. Next, I'm gonna get some more caulk, and I'm actually gonna fill these gaps with caulk. It'll do a better job at holding the styrofoam in place. Even though I'm gonna probably, right, so I'll caulk that. I'll caulk in there. So yeah, I mean, it'll hold it better in place. Like, there's a large gap. Even though I'm going to put something over it, I think the caulk will help. Obviously, with a little bit of the insulation as well. So that's pretty much why I'm doing it, is to insulate. All right, so that is it. Again, like and subscribe and ring the bell and all that stuff. Love to see you guys back on the channel soon. And until next time, take care.